Hello, everybody. I'm here once again, Everything Brazil Show, the EB Show. This is your host and producer, Patricia Carvalho, and I'm here today and I have a wonderful guest. I'm so excited to introduce him in a little while. We're going to be talking about great things from Brazil, and I will tell you what we're going to be talking about. But before, I want to tell you guys that Tony Weeks is going to be with us today through Skype. He is going to be broadcasting from the Virgin Islands, and he's going to be Skyping in, and he's going to be participating with us as the marketplace and everything Brazil. So we are here live on REGM Radio, Temple Network, WSTX Radio, directly from the Virgin Islands, and News America. And if you want to watch us live, you know you can go to www.kalalu.com, and then you're just gonna, go on TV on live, and you can watch us live. All right. So let me tell one more time: it's www.kalaluoo.com. You just go there. Also, if you want to download the app, you can download iRegem 360 from the marketplace, and you're just gonna tell everything that is about to download when you're gonna watch the show. So today, folks, we just gonna have a blast time. It's just like a wonderful time. I'm so excited. I don't know if you guys are seeing. I have like red on, not red, I mean yellow on, because we're going to be talking about Brazil and soccer. I have a wonderful guest here, and he's going to tell you a little bit about him, right? And I will be interviewing him. So before that, I want to know if Tony is hearing me. Is Tony hearing me yet?
How are you?
Hey, can you hear us?
I can hear you beautifully.
Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome to the Marketplace and EB Show. We missed you last week, but you're here now. So, just you want to say anything?
Yeah, no, I want to say congratulations for being able to do the show solo by yourself last week for the first time. And you did a wonderful job. I really enjoyed the dialogue between you and our guests from Brazil. It was a great show, and I'm looking forward to today's guests. Brazil is a strong football, soccer community. They've won a number of world championships, and to know that you have one of your best, I don't know if he's current or former players on the show today. I'm looking forward to learning all about that. But let me also say this, Pat, that it's important for people to know, not only in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but not only in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut tri-state area, but also in Brazil, that the St. Croix is one of the best kept secrets, Pat. St. Croix, little St. Croix, 82 square miles with 50,000 people. The reason why the entire continent of South America, having high-speed internet, the St. Croix make it possible. St. Croix is one of the three rings that make it possible for the continent of South America to have high-speed internet.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to ask my guest if he knew that in a while.
No, I did not.
See, he already said he did not know that. This is really not great news.
Right?
Great news.
Thank you for it.
So
You're welcome.
let me introduce my guest, and then we go with
Let me tell you guest this. Pat.
Right.
The three rings are Brookhaven, New York, Hollywood, Florida, which is in Miami,
Right.
and Frederiksted, St. Croix. Those are the three rings that literally controls all of the traffic up and down the east coast of North America, going into the Caribbean and South America. So those are the three rings that control that internet traffic up and down that corridor.
Wonderful. So on that note, I'm gonna introduce to you guys my guest. His name is Wilson Egidio. He is a former professional soccer player. He's a head coach presently. He's an entrepreneur. Yeah, as an entrepreneur. He's also a philanthropist. All right. He has all these accolades, but I really wanted him to tell a little bit about himself. So Wilson, welcome. Thank you for the invitation. Of course, thank you for being here and for accepting my invitation. Tell me about you.
Oh well, where am I gonna start? First of all, thank you for having me, and congratulations on your and good luck on your new endeavor. And I'm just happy to be part of it, knowing you for a long time now. Growing up in Brazil as any other kid, fell in love with the game before I knew what falling in love is, or before I start walking. And from there, playing youth at some of the top teams in Brazil professionally, and became a professional and came to New York and played here professionally. And from there became a coach, and then we go on and on and on.
Great,
Um,
great. So we're gonna talk about everything. He's gonna tell us in an hour a little bit about his life story, when he was in Brazil, when he came to America, and now where he's going. All right. So, tell me a little bit about how was in the beginning for you in the Brazil. Why soccer?
Well, first of all, it's a fun sport, and as you know, many of the kids in Brazil and in the Caribbeans and islands, we didn't have as many choices as we have today, or as many choices as other people have. So soccer is a natural thing to do. You start playing on the streets, and you start to, get together with your friends, and this is it. So you get the bug,
Right.
and then it becomes a passion. It becomes a love story, and that's how it goes.
And this love story for you has been for how many years?
Oh my God, there you are. You want me to tell my age? I told you I started playing soccer probably before I start walking. I don't even remember. People ask me, when do you start playing soccer? I said, I don't remember. I was probably too young to remember that.
Right, right. So, tell me, I know you have in Brazil. You have gone through three soccer teams, right? One is Vila Nova. The other one is Santos Futebol Clube. It's the former Pelé team, and also you went to Cruzeiro. Unfortunately, unfortunately it's not athletic, but anyway.
Mhm.
So you went to Cruzeiro, and you played. You played professionally. How was your trajectory through that from Vila Nova to Cruzeiro?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't know if you got the order right. So I started at Vila Nova
Okay.
as a 16-year-old, and on a very good team, and had the pleasure to play with some very good players, including Luizinho, which was the starter for Brazil in 1982 World Cup. One of the best players I played with, central defender. And from there, I didn't actually play for Cruzeiro. I have a very strong relationship with them now because of my other thing that I do. I take groups to Brazil,
Right.
and I spend a lot of time at Cruzeiro, which is a wonderful club. And then, with Santos, I had a very quick spell at Santos, and it was great because at that time, as a 16-year-old, have a chance to practice with Pelé because he had retired already, and I was at the time practicing to come to the Cosmos in New York. We didn't know, but we just thought that this guy is very committed. He's retired and come to practice every day. But for me personally, it was a pleasure. I mean, that's probably the highlight of my life, was to be on a field
So
with him.
wait. So you telling me that you used to practice with Pelé,
Yes.
the big Pelé? Everybody, when everybody talk about Brazil, the first thing they remember is soccer and Pelé. So you tell me that you used to do when you were 16. So you used to practice with Pelé. How was that experience?
Well, I mean, what can I say? I mean, he was the king. I saw him growing up in Brazil as a kid as a god. And all of a sudden, you practicing, and like I said, he was in transition from end of his career to
Right.
coming to the Cosmos. And in order to be in shape and get in shape, he used to come and practice with the youth teams. And that was when that happened a couple of times. And, I have exchanges with him that I'm going to carry with me my entire life. And by the way, as the world turns and soccer as a meaning of making great things happen in your life. I come to New York and I ended up being so-called part of the family. As you know, my brother-in-law is married to his daughter Kelly, so I am very close to the family and to him now, which is like amazing.
I'm, I'm sure it is. I'm sure amazing.
Hey, Pat.
Yes,
Pat.
Tony, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I do. I
Go
do.
ahead,
I
go
have a
ahead.
lot actually.
Oh,
Already?
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
just starting.
Well, because I grew up, I'm broadcasting live from the Caribbean. I'm from the U.S. Virgin Islands, and so as a kid, I learned about Pele from a little, from a little toddler. And like you said, he's legendary, and he's now retired. But I think that when we in the Caribbean and the West Indies really learned about an important figure in terms of celebrity in that space, it was Pele. And Pele is, like you said, is that ambassador for the sports. Now, when you think of soccer, soccer is a global sports. I mean, it has billions of fans, and the U.S. over the past, I think, maybe 10 years or so, or at least 10 years, the U.S. has really started to get very competitive and more involved with the sports. What is it about soccer that Brazil uh, got so famous for in terms of the sports? And then you living in the United States, why did it take so long for the Americans to really embrace soccer? Because soccer is this global sports, and we love soccer here in the Caribbean.
Yes. Okay, first of all, let me see if I can go one step at a time. Why Brazil is so good? Why is it so big? Because they are so good. Brazil is so good at it. Now, the question, if you ask me why Brazil is so good or became so good and became the so-called the number one soccer country in the world, I'm not sure. I mean, there are different schools of thought, but it just happened to be us, and for that, I'm happy to be Brazilian. As far as bringing soccer to America and soccer in America, I've been here working with soccer first as a player and then as a collegiate coach and youth and so forth for many years now. I think that I heard someone put it on a way that I think it's correct. It takes time to introduce a sport to a country. It's like think about taking baseball to Brazil. So I think that we are in a position now, we U.S. Of producing players and at the youth level that are competitive at the top notch. Can compete against the Brazils and Argentinas. But like I said, I think it's just taking time. But I go. You mentioned 10 years. I think I would go a little longer than that. I think that soccer has it's huge in this country with kids already completely tuned and focused and passionate about the game and not baseball and not football. So you see that a lot in this country already. So I think we're in the right direction now. It's just a matter of trying to find those kids that can take the game to the next level.
Well, it's the reason I know I said 10 because I was trying to play it safe. I know that soccer was a sport in school that we got exposed to. I was more making reference to the soccer as a sport on a professional level. The Americans kind of lagged and was late to really stepping up and making soccer as big as the other sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey, or football. We didn't, as a country, we're kind of late in terms of making soccer part of the American society and the culture of America. But we in the Caribbean, soccer has always been a big sport in the Caribbean and in Latin America and the rest of the world. And I was just curious to know, you know, why was that? Why were the Americans so late, if you will, to the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure now I understand your question at the top level, at the professional level. I think that if you look at again, it goes down to the time and, you know, the way I think. If you look at Pelé coming to U.S. in the late 70s, and you look at that as a milestone, it has progressed since then. Why before, I'm not really sure, but I think it has been growing very fast ever since. And and we are in a position right now where, well, first of all, they tried with the Cosmos League back then, and it didn't work. And they were around for a couple of years, but then they closed doors, and they tried it again. And now it seems like we're in place now of attracting some better players and playing some. It's a big industry now, and all that goes around that. It's making it possible to sustain in a good level of soccer, and looking forward to get better.
Alrighty.
Do we?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Tony.
Do you think we have a good franchise in terms of the investment? I would imagine Brazil, like other foreign countries, make the early investment in the development of young people into the sports. I don't know what kind of investment Brazil make as a country into up and coming players, but if you can talk a little bit about that in terms of the commitment of the country and the sports, because it is an institution. The game, or the sport of soccer, is an institution within the Brazilian fabric of a society. And so, is it because the government make that conscious effort to invest heavily into that sports, because the reason why that Brazil is like one of the world's number one soccer teams?
I think it's the opposite. I think that the government it falls behind in supporting and organizing. I think it's somewhat Brazil. It's I think what defines Brazilian soccer is the amount, the abundance of talent, and but I think we lack on as far as organization. Of course, through the years we got it down to where it is. The leagues and the partnerships and so forth. But I think that I go again, in this country, to go back to your question, I think that we are now in a position to have everything that goes around the sport of soccer on a different level, and I think it's just we are a few steps away from getting to the point that you're talking about.
Fantastic.
All right. I have more questions, but I'll defer to Pat. I'll come back on the next round, Pat.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead, Pat.
Tony. Thank you. I didn't tell you guys, but Wilson is my uncle, so I guess I just would like to call him uncle from now on, if you guys don't mind. It's such a wonderful thing to have my uncle over here. Feel so proud of him, and to call him my uncle. So, uncle, tell me, how did you transition from being a soccer player to a coach? How did how was that transition for you?
Well, it's a natural thing. You become too old to play, and then you're gonna go see. This is something that I invested all my life into. It's the University of Soccer that I called. As a player, as a fan, becoming a coach was a natural thing. I started looking around the possibility of staying in the country once the league that I was playing at folded, and getting into coaching and doing courses and look at the what is available here was the way to do it. And that was it just started there and grew from there. And by the way, I'm very proud of what of you and everything you do as well, and I'm happy to be your uncle.
I see that. See, the family over here. So wonderful. But what I really would like for you to tell us, right? I was reading about you, and I was reading about the testimonies about the kids that you coach, right? And they say that you're more than a coach to them. You're like a father. What do you do so they refer as a father, more than a coach, more as a father? How did you develop that with them?
Well, it's just the person who I am, the person you are. I deal with the so-called private school kids, where they respect me and they look. First of all, they love the game and they like to to play for me with the Brazilian style and it's fun and then we have another bunch of players and kids, youngsters that are what I call scholarship kids and making that the transition the combo of the private schools and with the immigrants and the scholarship kids and those guys they here and sometimes by themselves the parents are trying to figure out what to do and going to work and having them having a figure a coach that can help them with transportation with gloves in the winter with and then goes on from there with opportunities to go to college and get an education. Of course, they're going to look at me as as someone a little more than a coach, and I'm just happy to be in the position to help out.
Great, great. Folks, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back with Brazil and soccer.
All right, folks, that is the show Everything Brazil, which is
I'm Nick Franklin, FBI agent.
All
How about the
right.
shift?
This is the marketplace.
All right, folks, we are back with the show Everything Brazil and the Marketplace. And we are here on Aerojam Radio, WSTX Radio from St. Croix. My colleague Anthony Weeks, he is broadcasting live, direct live from St. Croix in the studio. And we are here having a wonderful conversation with Wilson Egidio, which happens to be my uncle, a head coach, and he also, he's an entrepreneur. We're going to be talking about that. He's a former soccer player. He's a philanthropist, and also we're going to be talking about that. And we were talking about my uncle's transition, right? He was just saying that how he decided to become a coach. He said it was like something natural, you know. I don't know how he was a player and then he decided to become a coach. And he's been a very successful coach for so many years. I was reading about, so Uncle, you work for the York College, for the City College before, right? And you also did you launched the Manhattan Soccer Club, right? And today you're director of the Samba.
Yes, I'm the founder and the president. It's my club.
Right. So can you tell about what's the difference between the Manhattan one and the Samba one?
Right. Well, two different clubs.
Right.
I, like you said, many years ago, I started the Manhattan Soccer Club, and it's a big club now, one of the biggest in the country. Over 70 teams.
Right.
With girls and boys and so forth, and I was there for many years. And 2 years ago, I decided to go on my own and start my own club, which is Samba FC. So yeah, well, like you said, and with that, there's the Favela project, and the tours that I do, taking kids to Brazil.
Right.
And but that's what it is right now. We're starting with the Samba and with the MSC, with like you said, very successful run, winning 7 state championship.
That's impressive, by the way.
Three regionals and 1 nationals. In 2014, my U17 won nationals, so that is a major accomplishment with some excellent players. And to name a few, Jack Harrison, that is today with NYCFC, played with me for 3 years. He's one of the best players in MLS right now. And everybody on that team, particular team, are playing college and contributing major way.
Great. Tony.
Well. Let me. Do I get to call you Uncle? Or do I get to call you Wilson?
You can, well, whatever. I'm probably I'm old enough to be your uncle anyway. So go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. I'm really enjoying the conversation. There are 2 things. There are 3 areas I want for you to kind of help me, kind of guide me along the way. I know FIFA has been very they've been very proactive in promoting soccer around the world. And I know that they have really been trying to make the necessary traction and investment in the Caribbean. And so, I'm trying to get a sense of, knowing the game of soccer, knowing the Caribbean, and knowing the different teams in the Caribbean. Where do you see the Caribbean from a competitive point of view, and the talent coming out of the Caribbean, whether it's the U.S. Virgin Islands or any of the Caribbean? Where do you see the Caribbean in terms of ranking and competing, and the talent coming out of the Caribbean?
Well, first of all, I like the talent. I think I have an opportunity to work 2 years at York College and 10 years at City College, and with the clubs, youth club as well. And now, by the way, with the ASA College, we can talk about that a little bit as far as creating opportunities for players to come to U.S. And play college soccer on a scholarship. But I think the talent is there. I like working with the Jamaicans, the Haitians, and so forth. I had players from many of the islands. But I think, like you said, FIFA has done a great job spreading the word and the gospel and all over the world. And I think that, pretty much where USC is right now, once the sponsorships are there, and the support and the investments in, providing the kids and the coaches and the an opportunity um, to challenge themselves, good coaching and good competition, and even like simple things like equipment and soccer fields and facilities. Um, I think that the sky's the limit. I believe that you guys can produce top players consistently and bring them out to the world.
Now, how important is, I know that you recently, Brazil hosted the Olympics and hosted FIFA, the championship,
The
World Cup.
World Cup.
Hmm.
Very good.
Uh, and I think Pat corrected me because I got it mixed up a little bit. I mean, maybe she's going to correct me again. Uh, you hosted the Olympics. You won the gold, but you hosted the World Cup, but you lost that championship. How did you feel as a Brazilian, knowing that you were in two world stage, and you're a dynasty? Brazil soccer team, football is a dynasty. How did you feel when Brazil lost the World Cup but yet won the gold in the Olympics?
Well, it's very simple. When Brazil won the gold, that was wonderful. I was very happy, excited, and when Brazil lost in the World Cup, I felt horrible. I mean, as a matter of fact, I just don't remember that World Cup at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
I don't think it
Thank you.
happened. I don't think it
Yeah.
happened.
That never happened to us.
No, it's
Oh, by the way, I was there at the Olympics in Maracanã when Brazil and when Neymar
yeah.
he kicked that goal, the
Of
last
course,
penalty,
yeah.
and I was there, and it was like a fantastic time.
Yeah,
You know?
I wasn't present at the Olympics, but I was at the World Cup. I saw a couple games, and it was wonderful. But just seriously, I mean, that was a disaster. I think that Brazil and Brazilians missed an opportunity to win another World Cup, which has been very nice. And then if you look back at the 1950 as well, where Brazil went to the final and lost to Uruguay, that was also another one that we could have won. And then keep going on and on talking about the wonderful teams Brazil have in the past. And 1982, for example, was some considered one of the best, the most talented teams, even more than the 1971, and didn't win anything. So but you know what? I think we're in good position to do well in the next World Cup. I really believe that we got it now.
It is soccer, the game of soccer, as you see the evolution of soccer in terms of gender. We know it's a male-dominated sports, but where do you see women in the future in the game of soccer? I know that in the schools, the young girls, they're very actively involved with the sport, but I'm thinking professionally, where do you see women in terms of their role in the future development of soccer professionally? And also, is soccer like other sports when you're trying to find something constructive and productive for young people to put their energy into? Is soccer in Brazil one of those, if you will, institutional type thing where it helps with the development of young people and their skills to grow and to become competitive in their respective field?
Definitely, not only as a player, but also as a person. When you look at the numbers and the very few percentage of players inspiring and dreaming of becoming a soccer player are very low. But the experiences that you go through and that you have on a playing field and being part of a team and leadership and having a coach screaming at you and competing and losing and tying and I mean all of that it has to help you of all as a person. So and definitely and I see
But,
that.
but does it keep them out of trouble? Does it keep the young people out of trouble from getting into mischief, crime and violence? And is it a program that has really helped a lot of young men in Brazil to steer them in the right direction.
Of course, growing up in Brazil, I personally have a um, you know, I can talk about that because I have friends and teammates growing up that are very good players and very good people, very good, very nice kids, and somehow got into the wrong track of life, and and I was consider myself one that because of soccer, because of my relationship, the relationship I developed around the game, ended up on the track that I am today. And so definitely there's a great impact, and it's as a positive opportunity for young players. And as the to go back a little bit about women's soccer, I think that what's happening with women's soccer is also a I think we on the right direction as far as making um, um, a professional, making it professional in a way that girls and young ladies can play overseas and travel and compete and actually playing professionally and have a career out of it. I think that's happening more and more and more. As a matter of fact, I have a good example of someone that I met in Brazil five years ago, Laís Araújo from the city of Salvador, with the Favela Project. Like I said, we had a game in a favela in Salvador, and I met Laís. And to make the long story short, 4 years later, she came to a community college in New York, ASA College in Brooklyn, had a great career, MVP, and all of that, speaking English and great grades. Got a full scholarship to Florida University, one of the top programs in the country, not only soccer but also academic. And now she's one of the best players in the college soccer. And
Wow.
and not only that, but through her coming here, she had a chance to be part of the Brazilian national team under 20 that played the last World Cup in New Guinea. So I mean, you see how one person use my example and her example, and that can, pretty much answer your question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Is Pat any good? Is Patricia any good at soccer?
You know what? I'll take the fifth on that one. I haven't seen her play. She's good on all the things, and not everybody, it's good in soccer. But I don't even know if she ever kicked the soccer ball before. Did you?
Yes, actually, I did.
Oh, here you go.
See that?
Yeah.
Tony, you're starting trouble over here. Huh?
Yeah, I know. I'm a troublemaker.
I actually did, Uncle. I actually played for Newcomers High School.
Oh, actually, that's right. I remember that. My memory is not that great. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So
In Queens, Astoria.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
So
I guess
can
you want to
play.
impress if that's what he doesn't remember.
Well, actually, I
It was
yeah.
a long time ago, Tony. Come on.
Yeah. Actually, yes, good.
Yeah, so that's great. So, Uncle, touch a little bit about the Favela Project. How did that come about?
Well, one of the things that I do is I take groups to Brazil, mainly American kids, not only New York kids, and but I have taken from 3 to 110, and
wow. I
we
mean,
started out
at once.
at once.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it started out as as I take a kid to Brazil, a private school kid with in a with abundance of everything, soccer equipment and so forth. So I asked them to bring a donation bag. So in every trip I would have a game in a particular favela, and after the game we would donate. You leave the equipment behind, and that grew into the Favela Project, which today is a 501c3 institution and a non-for-profit. And we help. As a matter of fact, I have my car parked across the street with about 150 pairs of shoes that I'm sending to Africa, and some to Haiti. So it came from. It started with a small donation bag to where we are today, helping kids and programs all over Ecuador, Mexico, Africa, all over Africa, Brazil, Haiti, you name it.
And how do you find these people? How do you get connected with them with different countries that we started as a favela project in Brazil with that donation. Now you're going all over another countries. So if people want to be part of it, and how does it work? I know I'm not sure what is a 501c3.
A non-for-profit, yeah,
Yes.
officially is like a ONG in Brazil, right?
Okay, got it. So if people wanted to connect, how does it work?
Well, again, find a way to get in touch with me, and through friends and people that come in contact with me through soccer.
Right.
And in Brazil, it's very easy. There are more favelas and kids and people to be helped than I can help. But we have 3 or 4 particular favelas that I work with. But mainly, people get in touch with us through friends, and it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that, in Haiti, for instance, if you come in with 100 pair of shoes, you are like 1,000 short. There's a tremendous need around the world,
Right.
Africa and places in the Caribbean, as a matter of fact. So that's how we started, and that's where we are.
So I guess we'll put on the Everything Brazil page about the favela project.
You could, you
I
should.
could, I should.
Yeah.
So wonderful. I will do that for those that are interested in knowing a little bit more. I will have that information for you guys. All right, let's take a little break, and we will come back once again with Everything Brazil and soccer.
This is the marketplace. We'll be right back. Is the marketplace.
All right, folks, we are back here with
Crazy about
Everything
football?
Brazil and the marketplace and Everything Brazil. We are live from Arijam here in Rosedale, and also we're broadcasting from St. Croix. Tony is broadcasting live with WSTX Radio, Temple Networks, and we are here talking about Brazil and soccer. And I have my wonderful uncle Wilson Egidio here, as I told you guys about who he is, a former soccer player. He knows is a head coach today. We're gonna ask him a little bit more about what he does presently. He's also entrepreneur and a philanthropist. We spoke a little bit about his philanthropy, what he does, and the Favela project. I will be posting some more about that and giving the word out, and I will talk to him more about it. And I want to touch a little bit about his entrepreneur side. I know, Uncle, you also, besides all those accolades, you're also entrepreneur, right? So tell me a little about the store, the Upper 90, right?
Correct.
Correct. But you also had other businesses as well, because I remember one time you had a restaurant, or part of a restaurant.
That's right.
Right. It was a
Yeah.
wonderful Brazilian restaurant. I just can't remember the name right now, but you're gonna tell us.
Right. Yeah, that happened for a while. A little change from my usual soccer life. I opened a restaurant at the heart of the Brazilian community in Manhattan, 46th Street, between 5th and 6th. But so when that was quick, and it was a good experience and fun. But and then you touched about Upper 90. Upper 90 is a wonderful soccer store. There was a need, coaching and playing soccer in New York City. There was a tremendous void of a soccer store like we are. And we started with a store at 94th Street in Amsterdam, uptown. And then we had a second one a year or two later at Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. A third one is in Hicksville, Long Island. And now not too long ago, we opened in Astoria, in the heart of Astoria, and which is a wonderful place. We have a huge soccer store. We have a cafe. You have a soccer field, small soccer field. And we are just completing a rooftop soccer field, which is bigger, and it's an amazing soccer address where you meet different people. In a given day, we have Davi Villa there, running his clinics and his news business. But it's a wonderful opportunity. And like I said before, with the trips to Brazil, Brazilian soccer tours, for many years now, it started in 1994, I think. I take groups to Brazil to play with and train with. I call soccer / cultural trip, because you get exposed to the music and to the Brazilian life. I'm very proud and happy of that part of doing that. It's wonderful. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, wonderful.
But I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Tony, you want to ask
Well,
anything?
yeah. I mean, I don't know if either one of you have seen this movie. It was based on a real true life story, and it really dealt with the issue of a country divided, a country during the time of apartheid. The movie was called Leviticus, and they use rugby as a sports. Nelson Mandela, served his time in prison, came out of prison, and we got elected as president. But during the time that Nelson Mandela took the office of presidency, the country was very divided. Racism was at its height, and Mandela saw it fit to use a national sport where there was national pride to really unite the country, bring the country together. Now, am I off base? Am I mistaken to where when I think of the football team in Brazil and what soccer means, soccer is like, to me, is like the holy grail for Brazilian. And so is it safe to say that whenever there is a disagreement or conflict, the sport of soccer or football unites Brazil in a way that politics can't, or religion can't, or any other sort of societal type event or activity?
Definitely, I think when you think Brazilian soccer, and people think about the players playing and within the four lines and the stadiums. But like you said, I mean, the impact of Brazilian soccer. I mean, there's a wonderful book called Brazil Football Way by Alex Bellows, which it's a wonderful book, and it talks about, like you said, the Brazilian soccer impact in Brazil, in religion, in relationships, in families, in music, in art. I mean, you name it, and it's huge. And like you said, has a tremendous impact on who you are. Uh, just as curiosity, I myself, I'm a art collector. I like folk art. I like a lot of the stuff from the Caribbean. I have a few pieces from Haiti. I have an art collection, soccer art collection of about 45 originals, and I'm very proud of it and a lot of fun. But just to show you that it is in all aspects of life, pretty much.
Wow.
And would you say it has the same impact or power economically? Is soccer a big economic driver in the Brazilian economy?
Yeah, that goes without saying. I mean, you start from the players, the workers around the clubs, and I mean, it's easy to, you know, given the amount of people participating in soccer somehow as a worker, as a fan, as an spectator, so it is a huge economic factor in Brazil, definitely.
Okay, good, good.
Great.
Pat?
Yes. Thank you, Tony, for your questions. Well, I wanted to ask my uncle one more thing about the future, right, Uncle? I know you have been in this journey. I believe like if people look at you, especially the people that you work with, it seems like you building a legacy, right? From back in Brazil when you were 16 and it's just your journey here and everything that you have accomplished, and I'm sure there are things that you're gonna still accomplish in the future. Um, so what are you what do you expecting uh, in the future, this legacy for people to look at you, and also for the future of soccer in this country? I know Tony asked a question, you talk a little bit about it, but on the day to day that you are with players, what do you see their drive? What do you see they're going? And we know like football is a big thing over here, right? But soccer is still growing, right?
Correct.
So how do you see the future of soccer in your own eyes? Especially for America right now.
Well, we talked about that. I think we the league is growing, the level of playing it's getting better, and it's attracting some interesting players, players that have a name and outstanding players outside of America, and once we combine that, sort of on a veteran end of a career, towards the end, when you combine that, the experience and the name of those players with the American kids coming up, I think we have we reach a level that we talked about before, where soccer can be considered and appreciated as as a top-notch sport. So that's as far as the future. I I'm happy with touching young kids' lives and bringing them up as players, and introducing them to the sport of soccer through my style, the Brazilian style.
What is
And
a Brazilian style?
well, that's a good question. Which it's a fun. I mean, when you look at it, how kids learn to play soccer in Brazil. With you start walking, and then you having fun, and you playing with your friends. It's I try to make it a fun environment. It's not a environment that is driven by drills, and but it's just more like a self-expression and of creativity. Like and fun. And once you start getting good at it and get more serious, then you polish it up and you dedicate yourself and some time into it, and improve in certain areas, and take it from there through college, high school, college, and professional. But you know, when you look at,
I could,
yeah, go ahead.
I can only imagine, you know, in America, in the U.S., every kid gets a special favorite toy during the Christmas holiday. Am I off base when I'm saying that I'm thinking every boy probably gets a soccer ball for his Christmas under the Christmas tree? Because just because the sport is just such a huge national sport, and I guess a soccer ball is probably one of the staples as a gift for a young man.
You talk about Brazil or you were here?
Yeah, Brazil, yeah,
Oh
Brazil.
yeah, of course. You know, I remember myself. One of my first memories with soccer, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, was like getting a soccer ball for Christmas, and that was a given. I mean, I didn't get too many presents growing up, but a soccer ball was one
Brazil.
thing. If I if I had to get one present, the soccer ball would be one. And I remember, uh, you know, Christmas, Santa Claus would come at 12 o'clock, and you get waking up, and I remember kicking my father against the wall, and I was kicking against. I don't remember how old I was, under 7, and I remember also that the next day you are the king because you have a soccer ball and you go out and and
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
of course, and
yes,
then you're playing
yes.
soccer. See those, yeah, but yeah, soccer ball, yeah, it is, and I think up to this day,
Do you envision, uh, America has its professional sports, but America's professional sports, they will call it world champ. They will say the world champion NBA, the world champion football, the world champion baseball, but American sports play against Americans, and soccer as a sport is truly a world sports because soccer is played against amongst teams from different countries worldwide. It's the epitome of what the composition of the world. Do you ever see where things are going right now that soccer can be bigger than the NFL football championship game or anything like that, or World Cup? Another World Cup, the World Series type thing.
yes, I can. I'm not going to be around for that, but I think like in I don't know when. It's just like the light at the end of the tunnel. I know I'm going to get there. I don't know when. Or I don't even know if I'm going to get there. But in my opinion, I think we will. I don't know if it's going to be as it's huge. We talk about baseball, basketball, and football. They're huge. It's a big industry, and I think that soccer has to get its own niche and I think we going in the right direction by being such a natural sport and the kids picking up the sports naturally and like you said, you don't need to be 500 pounds to play soccer as in football. You don't need to be 7 feet tall as in basketball. Anybody can play. When you look at the best player in the world today, in my book, I mean, some people might argue that it's Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think it's Messi, and he's like five something. It's as big as
That's
my.
a good point.
Well,
That's a good point.
yeah, so and the girls can play, and I played professionally with 130 pounds. Some of the kids that I coached, they're 12-year-old. They're heavier than I was already when I was playing professionally. So, I think it's you will be
So,
big.
so it probably said if we were to venture to say soccer is probably more of an inclusive sports when it comes to physical built one's ability. Soccer seems to be more inclusive than all the other sports because they have these physical restrictions in terms of weight, size, height, that kind of thing, huh?
Yeah, I guess I would never on a right mind would venture to play basketball, which even though you have examples of few players that have played basketball with being small, but I wouldn't look into it like I wouldn't try to play football, American football with 120 pounds growing up, or 100 pounds. So soccer is a natural thing to do. You just step on, you're fast, you're quick, you're agile, and you get the job done. And Messi again is a good example of that. Pelé is not a very tall person. I was just with David Villa, one of the top players in the world with Spain and Barcelona, world champion, and he is small, but very aggressive, very physical. So it comes to it's just how you handle your weight, your size, and able to perform in soccer at the higher
That
level.
that's a beautiful point. I like that. I really I like how we sound we're kind of sort of capsulizing the whole discussion where if you're thinking of a sport, if you're athletic, if you're competitive, and you're thinking of a sport to get into
And if
where
you're
you
good at
don't
it,
have
yeah.
all these restrictions,
Yeah.
soccer seems to be it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I remember Neymar. I take groups to Brazil, like I said, and Neymar, I met him when he was 14, and he was like as skinny as he can be. It's small, skinny, and but already good then at 14.
And today he's one of the best soccer players in the world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Wow.
wow. I have one more question, then we have to go, unfortunately. Uncle,
You need a longer show
I
next
know,
time.
right? I know.
So much more to talk about.
I know. I have the last question for you, and
Part
as
one.
you
This was part one.
close-
There's going to be part two.
Oh, see that?
I'm all for it. Sign me up.
Yep.
Great, great. What do you say to kids today that, like yourself, didn't have the opportunities, but they have the drive and they have the desire, but they don't have the support right now? What would you say to them?
Keep pushing. Keep following your dream. If you think you're a good soccer player, you enjoy the game, you're somehow gifted, you get the God's gift to be good at soccer. Just follow your dream. Stay out of trouble. Stay healthy. Listen to your coaches and keep playing. But most importantly, just keep having fun. You might not turn out to be a soccer player, a professional soccer player with a millions of dollars contract, but the benefits of staying in it and staying healthy and building relationships through the sport. I have 99.9% of my relationships and contacts, it came through soccer. It transcended soccer now, but there's a somewhat a beginning in soccer.
Thank you so much, Uncle, for being here. It was just like so delighted. It was such a fun time. I'm sure Tony is
Great
there.
time, great time.
You cannot see him, but he's there smiling. So happy about the conversation. I'm so happy, Tony. And tell me,
Well,
you want to say
well-
anything? Anything smart? I know you want to say something.
No, Smart.
No. The only thing that's smart I was going to say, they are going to see him because remember it's television
I know.
and radio. So
I
it's
know.
just not just they're not just hearing him. They're also going to get to see him on Tempo,
They
and
will.
we're going to also rebroadcast on Facebook. So
See to you?
television, and of course live streaming. So they'll be able to see him.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
I think I can see you from the corner of my eye. But I have a quick question for you. What about
Sure.
you playing soccer quickly? Yes or no?
Soccer is. I love the game.
Oh, no, Tony. Was it a yes or no question?
As a player.
Well,
As a player,
you
sir.
put me on the fire.
As a player.
I was mediocre.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
All
Thank you for the honesty, Tony.
I know. I'm very. When I was, I'm small in stature and height, but I was very athletic. I could run fast. I could jump high, and I'm fiercely competitive. So, I did try American football. I worked out, but I decided, this wasn't for me. Love playing baseball. Basketball, you can understand that it's a little bit of a challenge for me, but I think I did pretty well.
Good.
Excellent.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being with us once again at the EB show. Merry Christmas to all of you guys, and have a wonderful time with your family. Celebrate life, celebrate love, celebrate what's everything to celebrate in Christmas, to have your family and everybody around. It's such a wonderful time. So I want to thank my uncle Wilson Wezidio once again for accepting my invite. I definitely want you back. I definitely want to continue to talk about touching me some other stuff. Thank you so much, Uncle. And it was wonderful, guys, to have you guys here. And I see you next week. Stay tuned. I want to thank.
Pat, I want to say that I feel blessed and I feel privileged to be able to hang out with a legendary soccer player from Brazil. I feel, I was honored to be able to have this conversation. Great score in you delivering your uncle and learning of his legacy and his legendary, soccer, career. And look forward to, following up with you, Wilson, to be able to kind of, develop some other relationships and talk about some other things that we can do. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, guys, and feel free to reach out. You know where to find me.
Right. Remember, guys, if you want to, like us on Everything Brazil Facebook, EB Show Brazil on Instagram, and I will be posting, some more topics. All right. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I see you soon. Take care.
Then you came to the right place.